Yeah, YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of my Fantasy Grounds from the ground up. Although technically, I don't think I'm even calling it that. I'm just calling it Fantasy Grounds or Tasman Teaches. I don't know what I'm calling it, to tell you the truth. And I've even uploaded 3 episodes already. So this is, I believe, number 4. So the first 3 episodes I uploaded, it basically covered the whole interface, all the different buttons, what they do, what they mean. And we're going to jump into them. We're going to jump deeper into them as we go. But I wanted probably this next section that we're going to talk about will be the character creation. So, if you have your Fantasy Grounds open and you have it already set to the all and everything is going to be way weird sized for me because I had it full screen earlier. Um, but make sure you have at least all or create PC. So create PC will just have items that it'll help you have only the items that are related to having a character to be created. All I like just because it has everything. I like everything. So I don't think we went too much into all these different things, but in the modules, and once again, everything's really, really big. Let's just hold down Control and click, and there we go. So if you don't know, you can Control click if you forgot that, or if you haven't seen that in the other video. Left clicking while holding Control makes it so you can resize the window without having to come here and find exactly where that little cross angle is. So I think I might have talked about this. I talked about that in when I was talking about modules and all the different modules. You really, when we're having people get on your server to join, to do stuff, if you have lots of modules such as this, and lots are shared because of this little green thing, meaning that if we mouse over it, you can see allow players to load it or allow to block players loading it. Because of licensing issues and stuff like that, it can take quite a while if they're trying to scroll up and down this list. So the best thing, if you know what books they need, for example, if they need the player's handbook, just come here, type PLAYERS, and then hit enter, and this will sort it. Did I spell it wrong? PLAYERS. Oh, well, yeah, there's still quite a bit. It probably, even in this case, because I have like the players things, I could do handbook, and that's even better. And then just have them load that. And if they need, say, Xanathar's XAN, you could just do that, and then they'll only see this one because this one's the Dungeon Master only. This one's for the players. Then they can load that. If you get the Rob Tui, and I think I mentioned what Rob Tui is, but these 4 modules right here are, I would dare say, almost essential to having your stuff for your characters, because it allows the character that you're creating to apply effects such as well, what's a good example, like the what's it called, the what do elves have? It's called, hold on, let's open up a character and I'll tell you, because I'm drawing a complete blank at the moment. I think she's an elf, right? Yes, an elf. So for example, with abilities like Fey Ancestry, so what this does is it makes it so that they have advantage on saving throws, being charmed, and magic can't put them to sleep. So normally you have to memorize that, or at least know your character really well to know that. With the Rob Tui's stuff, you can actually have it automatically do it. You just apply it to your character, and that's it. So I also wanted to mention, right now we are at December 23rd of 2019, and until I believe it's January 2nd, you can get Fantasy Ground Standard. Instead of $39.99, you can get it for $9.99. And instead of $149 40 something for the ultimate. You can actually get it for like 80 something. So everything's 40% off on Fantasy Grounds getting their software. And then this Rob 2E thing is, like I said, is really good. You can get it on the Dungeon Masters Guild or the GM Guild, dmsguild.com, and it's called Fantasy Grounds 5e Coding Bundle. It's 40 bucks. I think right now it's on sale, so you could actually get it for 34. But it's actually 4 modules. You have the class features, you have the feats, you have the race traits, and you have spells. And what he's done is he's gone through and modified every single spell, he's created, so the spells are already there, but he's made them so that like effects and stuff like that are automatically applied, where normally, once again, you had to do that stuff yourself. So these 4 things, even if it's 40 bucks, well worth it. Really, really good stuff. So back into here, I'm imagining this section is going to take us probably another, if I do 30-minute videos, probably 3 to 4 videos, because there's so much to do with character. And that's what we're going to be going into. So once you have these things all selected, and you don't have to have all of them, if you're just making a basic character, if you have the Rob 2E stuff, you definitely want the class, feats, race, and spells. And then if you're just making a standard character, the player's handbook, definitely a good thing to have. These other ones will give you other types of characters, you know, Genesee I think it's called, and dark dwarfs. I can't remember all their names. Minotaurs and centaurs. I think those are in Elemental Evil, or no, they're in Ravnica. Also, I don't remember if I mentioned, but just really quick, these are basically the full book, which is the reason they probably cost about the same price as the full book. If you click here, click on, say, the Dungeon Master's, the Player's Handbook, and then click on Reference Manual. Once again, its size is ginormous. You'll see this is actually the entire book, just kind of turned into modular text here, where you can scroll down, you can get into the races. If we keep going here, however, it does have this stuff where it's linking into the Fantasy Ground. So they've been Fantasy Ground-ized, if you want to call it that, which makes it really handy. Yeah, so anyway, we're not going to talk too much about that. I was thinking to kind of really showcase the character, I think we want some kind of spellcaster. And so as far as spellcasters go, so if we go create, do we already have? Let's just go ahead and create one. We'll call it the From the Ground Up. We'll just call them FTGU. And the way you create characters is actually really easy with this. What you want to do is, depending on the way you roll your your abilities or attributes, you want to kind of keep that stuff understood what you need. So for example, if we come over here and let's start here with class. Actually, I like to start with background first, because it helps with not getting conflicting skills. So if we go into the background, and let's make us, what should we make? Let's make maybe a cleric, because they're a caster and they're pretty tough. Yeah, let's do a cleric. So let's say our cleric, so if it's an Alakite, this means that they kind of grew up in service of deities or patrons, or the gods of their world. Let's just limit everything only to the the Player's Handbook. I keep saying dungeon on that. So it's just the base ones. That's all I want to do. Alakite might be a pretty good one. It gives us 2 languages. Shelter of the Faithful, which basically, if you look at this, I think it says that you can go into cities and they'll provide you shelter, I think. You command respect of all those who share your faith. You and your adventuring companions can expect to receive free healing and care at the temple, shrine, or other established presence of your faith. So it would have to be of your faith, or someone that doesn't mind your faith. So I think this will make sense for a cleric. So you've spent your life in the service of a temple or specific god or pantheon of gods. You act as an intermediary between the realm of the holy and the mortal world, performing sacred. That kind of sounds like, it could also be a paladin or something. But let's go ahead. So to create a character, once you have the sheet up and you have up your backgrounds, what I like to do first, if we want to look at an Alakite, we have a nice picture of them. Kind of even looks clericy if you ask me. But what we want to do is right here, this little eye, we just want to drag it onto our character sheet. And what this does, if you look here, you'll see it added Alakite to FTGU. It added a feature called Shelter of the Faithful. It added insight. It added religion. And then it gave us the option to create 2 choices for our languages. So down here you'll see 2 of your own languages. There's the Shelter, the Faithful, and then here's our skill, Insight and Religion. Now this is the part where I usually like to at least know what these 2 are. Note that it's Insight and Religion. You can write it down or something, because when you select your class, or no, your race, you select a couple more. Or is it class? I think it's class actually. So if we do that, we can go ahead and get rid of backgrounds. I'm going to keep this up just so we can reference it. Let's go ahead and work on class now. We're going to be a cleric, so let's once again, we can sort the group here to only the player's handbook, and there's the cleric right there. So we're going to move this on to class. Now you'll notice it automatically knows that cleric 1 is our class. Now the nice thing here is, because we already chose our background, we can switch over to skills and we can say, okay, insight we don't want to choose, right? Because we get to choose 2. And religion we don't want to choose. So maybe we would want persuasion, persuading people to do stuff. And well, we are kind of a healer, so maybe medicine. So we can do that, and now you'll see it automatically added those in there. Then the other thing we can do is we can choose our divine domain. Now, normally when you're creating a character, you have to read through everything to find out what exactly you want to do. And you can see there's lots of different domains. As a cleric that's a healer, I think we want life domain. So we're going to go ahead and select that one, and you'll see that this added more stuff. So if we look here now, actually, I don't think that ever goes to the top. Let's see, it increased maximum hit points to 8 because it now knows that. 1 elf cleric, 1 level, so it added the level, the proficiency in weapons, proficiency in armor, saving throw proficiencies. It tells us we added medicine and that, or life domain. It also gives us features divine domain, spellcasting, disciple of life, and proficiency bonus. So to use these things, we can go under abilities, and now you can see there's a lot more. Anytime you see this little eye, you can simply click on it and you can get the information. So divine domain here says choose 1 domain related to your deity, arcane knowledge, life, light, nature, blah, blah, we're life. Each domain is detailed in their respective chapters, and each one provides examples of gods associated with it. So with this, with the thing, we get some domain spells, I think. Each domain has a list of spells, its domains. You gain Once you gain a domain spell, you always have it prepared. So this isn't one that counts against the prepared spells. If you have a domain spell that doesn't appear on the cleric spell list, the spell is nonetheless a cleric spell for you. So this is kind of cool. This gives us our divine domain. Here's our Disciple of Life part. Also starting at level 1, your healing spells are more effective. Whenever you use a spell of first level or higher to restore hit points to a creature, the creature regains additional hit points equal to 2 plus the spell's level. So if we cast a level 1 healing, they would automatically receive 3. Now this is where the Rob Toohey stuff comes in, is he's coded this stuff so that this you would just have to know, and then you would have to make modifiers or something like that. With the Rob Toohey stuff, it automatically will figure that stuff out for you. And then spell casting, is this going to tell us? Our spell casting. So one really important thing here is we can see our proficiency bonus plus our wisdom modifier. So that means our spell casting uses our wisdom modifier. And that's really important to know. So this means we might want something that will actually, you know what, we already moved cleric. Let's go ahead and click cleric like that. And we'll go ahead and move cleric right here. Just a little offset from this guy. And then we're going to go ahead and choose our race. And races is this little DNA one. Once again, let's just make it so it's just the base book, player's handbook. And elves, I know, actually get a bonus for wisdom. So if we come in here, we can see ability score increase. You can see, oh, that's dex. But then when we become a high elf, I believe it is, this gives us an additional bonus to our intelligence. So that's not the one I'm thinking of. Is it wood elf? Maybe it's wood elf. Yes, wood elf. So we probably want to be a wood elf because that's going to give us a bonus to wisdom, which is our spellcasting modifier. So if we grab in here, we can grab wood elf and we can drag it up to race. And now you'll see these, which were all defaulting at 10. Now you can see wisdom has an additional one. That one has a 12, right? So let's go ahead, and I think this is where we can actually roll our different stats. Now there's a couple ways that stats are usually rolled. I think I mentioned them in my other video, I'm not sure. But in case I didn't, I'm just going to re-mention them here because maybe this is the first video you're actually watching. So if you pick up a dice and you right click it, you get more dice. So one of the ways of figuring out what your stats are is you roll 4 6-sided dice and you throw away the lowest one. So here, for example, this would be definitely bad because we have a 2, a 6, and a 1. So that's 9, right? So if I were to maybe throw a 9 in here to say that's our 9, then let's go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4. That one's a little better. We've got 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm going to throw 11 there. Now a quick way of doing this is you can actually get the dice you want and drag them down to your hotbar. Now if I press F1 or click this, it'll automatically do it. Now that is a good one. This one gives us, is that a 5, 6, 6? Oh, that's the 5. So we're looking at 12, 17, is that right? Let's see, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, yeah, 17. That one is actually really good. Let's go ahead and add a comma. Let's go ahead and click that again. Not so good here because we have to get rid of a 2, so that's 9 again. And comma space. That one's really good. Happy with it. So that is 10, 15. And put a comma. And we have one more roll. So let's go and do that. Oh my gosh, that is a terrible one. That is a 4. Oh boy. So now different DMs have different ways of doing this where maybe they say, okay, well, whichever, like sometimes when I'm having players create characters, they get to take their 2 lowest rolls and they get to re-roll all the ones in it until they're not ones. So for example, with this 5, they would roll 3 more dice, and oh wow, that would actually turn this one into a stellar one, because we basically get rid of all that and we just have 17. Up here we're just rolling 2 ones. Oh whoops, that's not 2 ones. Let's go and do that. And grab you and roll it, and then we'll try and put you back. So 5, that's still 1 there, so I'd roll that one, and 6. So now we have a 6, a 4, which is 10, plus maybe a 6, which is 16. So once again, that's a lot better. But for this, I'm not doing that. Now, another way that people might do it is called point buy. And it's kind of hard to explain point buy. There's lots of websites out there where you can, do your point buy. But basically, point buy is where you start with all 10s. And then you apply your modifiers like we have here. So Dex turns to 12, Wisdom turns to 11. And then you have 27 points that you can apply. And then like to apply, it's something like you apply 1 point, costs 1 point. And then maybe 2 points in one area would cost 3 points. And you do that till that 27's gone. So that's another way of doing it. And then the other way is called the standard, is it called standard array, I think? So this is where you get basically a standard array of numbers. You start with 115, 114, 113, 112, then you get 110 and 19. And then you can just apply those how you want. Our cleric, and you don't have to be afraid of low numbers. Like this 4 is absolutely terrible, but it's also gonna, maybe make my character a lot more fun to play because they have flaws, right? So there's a couple things, like if we didn't want this to be quite so bad, we could always put it in Dex, and that would increase it from 4 to 5 to 6 because we have our 2 plus on Dex, right? However, as a cleric, maybe strength isn't going to be my biggest thing. I want it pretty good. Intelligence, maybe not so big. Maybe these are where I'm going to put my things. So I could say, persuasion is one of my things. So intelligence, I'm going to be using a little bit more. So I'm going to stick the 4 right here. And that gets rid of the 4. And then I think I'm going to stick the 9 right here. So as you can see, this is a -1. Now, if you just want a scale to base this off of or understand this better, 10 is average. It means +0. You're not above average, you're not below average. Anything below 10, like a 4 and a 9, as you can see, that's a -1, that's a -3. So anything below that average is below average, right? All right, so we've done the 9 and 4. The 17, I think I want to put into my wisdom, and that becomes an 18 because we have a +1 to our wisdom. So we do 18 there. That gets rid of the 17. My next highest, I think, is this 15, and I want to put that in Dex. And the reason is Dex directly affects your armor class, how hard you are to hit. Constitution directly affects your health, and we'll talk about that shortly. So we've already done the 17, so we're going to do 15, and then we have 2 9s, it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and put that, which one was it? The 15. Is that right? So we got rid of that, we got rid of that. We did the 17. So we have 15, 9, and 11. So I'm going to put the 15 here plus the 2, which changes to 15, 16, 17. So we can change that to 17. That means we have an 11 and a 9. So I'm going to put the 9 in my strength because this person's a healer. They're not going to be up in the front fighting. They're not going to be the best strength fighter. out there. And then finally the 11 we'll put on Constitution, which will give us a +1. Actually, no, it's still a 0. That's right. 12 is +1. So there we have our stats now. Now, we probably could have done a little bit better doing the standard array, especially because we have 2 9s and 1 4. So we got 3 below average, and then 1 average, and then 2 above average. But like I said, this is going to help our character be real. So you'll notice here that it's automatically calculating the modifiers, and it's automatically doing our saves. So you can see here that this +3 goes to here, this 0 goes to here, -1, so -3 goes over here, but this is a proficiency, so that means it gets +2. So it's -3 +2, which gives us -1. This one's pretty darn high because it's 4 + 2. So anywhere you see the star, it's called proficiency. This star right here is also saying we're proficient with armors and stuff like that. So we might actually be able to beef up our armor here. So on this first page, we have all this stuff. Looks pretty good. Cleric 1. So one thing I want to point out here is we have an inspiration here. This is what a DM will give you out if you are if you're above and beyond the duty, the call of duty. So like if you're role playing really well, or you come up with just a really good idea on something to do, you can click this, or the DM will say you get an inspiration, and your little guy that's usually up here will get a giant yellow star next to it to remind you that, hey, I have an inspiration. Now inspiration works for depending on the DM, it might be a re-roll where you can re-roll a bad roll. It could also be like a advantage on saves, checks, and on attacks. So if you roll bad on it, if you want to use an inspiration, you can roll 2 dice and keep the higher of the 2. So pretty good there. You'll notice here that these guys, you can always click on them and it pulls up the thing because you have the little eye. You notice there's not one here for cleric, and the reason for that is because a cleric is the class is actually a multi-class ability. You might have multiple classes. So if you click the magnifying glass at the back, you'll actually see, oh, here's your cleric thing. So it's still there, it's just a little deeper, because you might be a cleric barbarian or some weird thing like that. And then if that's the case, then you might have multiple hit die and things. Anytime you see this little plus minus, it means you can modify stuff. So if I click on that, if I wanted to get rid of me being a cleric, I just click delete item, and then it turns into a little minus, and then I click it again and it goes away. If I want to add one, I can always add one here. The way you level up, you can also keep track of your XP, and let's see, so if your XP is 0, I believe at 900 is when you turn to the next level. Now this doesn't automatically level you, and the way you would level is you would simply drag cleric onto this a second time, and then it would know any of these special things like channel divinity, per long rest, 1 per rest, and the divine domain feature, and then anything else that might be bonuses for you. For example, with your spells at a level 2, it will know that you get 3 first levels. And do you get more cantrips? No, you get just 3 still. So if you drag this guy from there to this area right here, it will automatically increment this to a number 2, and it will apply all the things throughout your character sheet for you. So for the most part, we've actually completed a ton of our character sheet. And we're at 29 minutes, so I think we might only cover just this front page. So as I was saying, anytime you see a magnifying glass, it's going to either do something special. If it's a red magnifying glass, generally it minimizes information below. But here you can actually see that our speed, is 35 because we're an elf, and we have a bonus, I believe, because we're a wood elf. If we have armor that's slowing us down, like an armor that slows down your speed, or if we have any kind of bonuses, we can apply them here and it will automatically adjust these guys for us. We also have our initiative right here, so we might have this, but maybe we have like a ring of initiative, which gives us another 2, right? So now you see it jump to 5. So that's kind of this stuff. Also, as you can see here, it's saying, are you proficient? That's talking about in armor. So if you're proficient in armor, obviously it's going to know to add that +2. Anytime it says proficient, it means you get to add this +2 to whatever the value is. So if we look once again here, you'll see that because we're proficient, you'll notice if we do that and it's not, well, we're not wearing armor yet, we don't get that proficiency bonus. We're at 30 minutes. The only other thing I want to talk about on this page, so you have your portrait here. This is what will show up in the corner up there, and you can choose generally from these little bags. They're kind of like, if you want to consider them kind of like folders, and you can choose one such as that. And then your token over here will always be the same as that, but you can actually choose a different token by coming to the tokens here. And let's say, let's go back here. Let's see if we can find one really quick. Mr. Manual. Let's maybe do Lost Mine might have something. It looks like all we have is a goblin. If I want to be a goblin, I can do that. And now my token on the board will be that. I think the only way to get rid of it would be to drag this guy back in. Pathfinder, maybe. I don't know. Just drag another token onto there or something. So anyway, there's all of that. Then this part down here, this is your actual health information. So this W&D stands for wounded. For example, if I take 4 damage, actually let's do maybe 2 damage, you'll notice it's green. This would say I'm in a wounded state, but I'm fine, right? If I go to say 3 damage, still green, 4 damage, now it's getting a little worse. And I think if I went 7, it's probably the same. It's saying I'm heavily damaged. And then if I do 8, which is my hit point max here, it's gray. And this means I'm unconscious. Now, what you can do when you're unconscious is you can do death saves. If you're familiar with D&D, you know what this is. If you don't, then what a death save is you have 3 chances to save or 3 chances to fail. If you save on any of these, if you save 3 times, you're automatically alive with 1 hit point. If you fell 3 times, your character is dead, not revivable. It's dead. You will have to roll a new character. So once you're at a wounded that is your max wound, you can roll a death save. And you'll see here I got a 13, which is a success. So it automatically did a success. If I do another one, ooh, a 1. Wait, is that? No, that's a 7. Is that a 1? No, that's a 7. So a 7, now we have 1 failure. Roll again, we have 11. Anything above 10 is going to be a success. Anything below 10 is going to be a failure. And will we wake up? So here we've now had all 3 of our death saves. So we could say that we have woken up and we have 7 hit points. Or we have 7 wound, we have 1. If you roll a 20, and I don't know if this will do it, but if we go back here, I want to see if we can either get a crit success or crit failure. Nope. Nope. Oh, that's a 7. That's 7. In this case, we would be dead, right? We're going to keep going. I just want to show you what it does if you get a 1. Which usually I roll 1s all the time. Oh, we died. Or, well, yeah, we died again. Come on. Oh, there's a 1. So a 1, although I clicked it too quick, I think, is a critical failure, and it actually counts towards 2 failures, where a 20 is a success and counts as 2 successes. So in this case, I would be on the wire unless a character came, one of my friends came and healed me. Oh, 20! Critical success, and you see it actually automatically moved us to 7. Ah, perfect. That is exactly what I wanted to show. And when you are revived, you can, if it might automatically delete these, I don't remember, but you no longer have to roll your death saves. So when it's your turn, you don't have to roll a death save to see if you actually die. The final thing I want to talk about is, so you can see our hit dice is a 8-sided dice. I don't know if this shows you it. Well, there we go. It's a 5. So that's healing us 5 points, and now we don't have our hit dice. We need to take a long rest real quick. Where was it? Is it right here? Sure, I think you can do it anywhere. Now I have our hit dice. So you have an 8-sided dice for your hit dice. Generally, in the game, when you begin, you get your hit dice plus your constitution is what your health is. Then when you level up, depending on the DM, you might get 2 hit dice, which would be 16 here, plus 0 is just 16. However, if you have like a 4, then it would be 8 and 8, which is 16, 12 and 12, which is, or not 12 and 12, 4 and 4, which is, why can't I think? 4 and 4, which is 8. Then, of course, this would be a 24 health. The other way people, DMs might do it, and the way the game actually says, is once you hit level 1, you max it out. Level 2, what you would do is roll an 8-sided dice, like a show, and in this case, we'd add 7 plus our con modifier to whatever the previous one was. So I usually like to allow you to have max either for the first 3 levels or up to level 5, and then at level 5 then you kind of roll it. Other DMs might keep it max the whole time just so they can throw bigger things at you and you can take more of a punch. So I think that will do it for this first episode. Technically it's still the 4th episode of the series, but first episode of characters and the character information, I guess. In the next episode, we'll talk about skills and custom skills, and we'll probably get into a little bit of the abilities. And I think that will probably be that episode. Then maybe the next one, maybe we'll even get an inventory, I'm not sure. And then the last episode, hopefully, we'll do notes and the actions, which is going to be really cool. So be sure to check out those other episodes when they come out. And that's it. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, check out my Discord and my other channels. And don't forget about the great big game giveaway. When I hit 1,000 subs, I am giving away 57 Steam games. That's 1 out of every 20 subs should get a game. That's pretty darn good odds. And that's it. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.